And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall Show from the Classic Auto Mall studio in Morgantown, Pennsylvania on a beautiful sunny day with our friend Keith Martin joining us from the left coast. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, we're always glad to have you on. We enjoy this. I look forward to this every week to talk about bringing your blog to life and talking about just cars in general. And you and I were talking before we went on about interesting things that are found on Bring a Trailer, which is so fun to look at. You know, it's just it's not even stuff that you maybe would necessarily care to buy, but just fun to peruse what they have for sale at any given moment.
Well, the phrase, gee, I never thought about buying one of those. It's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. Yeah, it's what a business model that they built, and it's the community. It's a version of eBay that eBay probably could have been had they gone down that path. But it's interesting where it has become or what it has become.
eBay gave Simon Rothman, the founder of eBay Motors, gave Randy the advice: don't be picky, don't be specific, don't filter, just put everything on your site.
Sure. And
luckily, Randy ignored him. Because
exactly.
eBay has become a great trash center.
Yeah, it's really just it's just so much stuff on there. And really, I think, truthfully, eBay could care less about the car side of it because it doesn't. They make more money off the tchotchkes and the other stuff than they do off of cars, I'm certain.
Actually, the cars is their largest profit center.
Really? Wow.
And doing it just the way it's set up makes them a boatload of money.
Right. Well, good for them. I mean, listen, we've all watched them grow and go from different things. That used to be that you could make a whole business out of eBay. It was people did that. I mean, in the car business, it only sold on eBay.
I just think that the eBay has become the second or third choice of places to look for a car.
Right, right. You go there if you haven't been able to find it anywhere else and you think, well, maybe it's there. And then because we have some loyal customers who buy on eBay and only look at eBay still, and they're older and it's just what they're comfortable with, right?
But what Randy has done with Bring a Trailer is created a community.
Right.
I see that they're going to have their first BAT event in Florida now. And so they've created this place that brings people together. They're an online company that brings people physically together at their events.
Yeah, that seems like a counterintuitive, right, of what they are. So, well, you just pointed out there's a Panoz on there. And if you don't know what one of those are, they're pretty cool cars.
Well, I had a chance to drive one of those, and I'll be curious to see. Its bidding's at about $30,000 right now.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that car hits 50.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But a lot of people don't know what it is. I mean,
well, you know what? It's a Prowler that got all grown up.
Yeah. You know, what a great business model that somebody saw that the Prowler could have been became what this is. And it looks very similar to a Prowler, but it's got power. It's got serious power.
Right. And it's got AC, and it's a real car.
Sure. Well, we were talking just a minute ago on the show of a new arrival we got is a Lotus Europa, 1974. And talk about unique and things that people have never seen. Oh, my goodness.
I had a Lotus Europa that I loved. It had the Stromberg carbs on it.
Sure.
And I sold it to a client in Japan for $7,000. That day I was up driving around Mount Hood and went to a realty place, and they said, what do you sell up here? And they said, well, we sell mountain cabins. And I said, okay. And they're on government land, so you lease the structure and you lease the land and own the structure. I went and saw this fabulous cabin. It was $35,000. The owner would take 20% down and carry the contract. I thought 20% down of $35,000 is $7,000, which is the exact amount of money I have in my pocket right now for that plastic car, and I am turning it into a mountain cabin.
And I love that logic. I think that's perfectly logical, and anybody that doesn't should just tune out right now.
That's right.
So your latest blog, wouldn't you rather drive a new Porsche 911? And this is in reference to your son, right, doing a rally, and he's got a couple of options here.
Right. It's a 1,500-mile, 5-day Porsche rally. It's a great event. We've done it many years. And I thought he was going to take the Lotus Elise. We've got a 2006. And to me, the Elise is the greatest basic sports car ever built.
Right.
But a friend of mine offered him his 2024 911 Carrera with 1,200 miles on it and said, Bradley, would you rather drive that instead? And you know what my son said to me? He said, I'm worried that would be too much car for me.
You mean the power wise and all that? Yeah.
Yeah, because last year he drove a 75 911S and it was underpowered by most cars that are new. But he was struggling at 70 and 80 to keep up. But he had to work hard to get to 80.
Right, and pay attention when you're going that fast in a car like that.
Right, it is. But the new car, a new Porsche will do 130, 140 without even breathing hard.
Right, exactly. And they are more grand touring cars than what the Lotus Elise is. The Lotus Elise is a race car with some headlights and stuff thrown on it, right? I mean, they're different animals.
It's the Lotus Elise is direct and primitive.
Right, exactly. The 911 has become, should we say, a little bloated in just the 911 Carrera form. It's more luxury than it used to be, I guess, is a better way to put it.
It isolates you from the road.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to be doing I drove a Jaguar V12 last year on this tour. A friend of mine offered me his new Porsche Macan. I've never driven one, and I thought, it's this event is really all new Porsches. And I might as well go with the flow. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't try to upset the apple cart here and show up in the 60s or 50s Porsche. You want to fit in with the guys and, have something to talk around the campfire at night, right?
Well, at Stewart also, whenever you're driving a 50-year-old car on a tour, there's like 20% of you has PTSD in advance. I mean, you're just watching every gauge.
Every gauge.
The car's out to get you.
Well, it's just like the older you get, anytime you have any kind of ailment, it's the worst thing possible. There's no, you get a little tweak in your knee and you're like, my knee's falling off.
No, you go, I have knee cancer.
I have knee cancer. Somebody said, why don't you go to the doctor for the flu? And I said, because I don't want to go to the doctor for the flu. And they tell me I got brain tumor. I just went for the flu. That's all I came for.
I know.
So, I mean, that is so true. And the Lotus Elise, even though it looks like a modern car, I mean, you got to remember that car is pushing on 20 years old. And it looks like a modern car, but it has more of a analog feel to it than a digital feel.
Right. The key to that car is its Toyota tower plant.
Right. My God. As reliable as the day is long, right?
And variable I mean, it's I've put about 10,000 miles on that Lotus, and I bought it and sold it and bought it back. And I just because I had that stroke, it's hard for me to drive the car. If I could drive it, I could have that as my only sports car.
Sure. And, that's one of the things that I've been toying with in my life is that getting down to one car, one toy. And if I want another something, then I need to get rid of the one and I'll get the second one or the next one.
The collector, Harry Yagi.
Yes.
His rule is 25 cars.
Just keep it.
That's it. I'm sorry for him sometimes when he has to make a hard decision like the Daytona Coupe or what has to go.
The Mormon Meteor, right?
The Mormon Meteor.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I've cut down from 15 cars to about 6 or 7, and I could really cut down to another 2 or 3 because the more cars I have, the less I drive each one, and that's not a good thing.
Absolutely. I've got the most wonderful 06 CL55 Mercedes, and I hardly ever drive it because it's kind of the low man on the pecking order of the cars that I have, although it's a wonderful car, and it was always kind of my dream car. And this car is a blast to drive. It's very analog in a lot of ways. I say analog. It doesn't have Bluetooth. So
Okay.
But it does have Sirius XM radio or whatever, so it's not that analog.
For $2,500, you can fix the Bluetooth problem.
Exactly. There's a lot of
the car's worth.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's the problem with these cars is that car is just not worth any money, and it should be.
I know.
It is fun to drive. It has got a lot of great things going for it. It's good looking. It just has things going for it. But I got to say that for your son Bradley, I mean, for a guy to trust him with his 2024 911 speaks volumes about Bradley and his character.
Well, thank you very much. Bradley's flattered. Brad Miller, the owner, knows Bradley well, but Bradley has really he's been really developed into a thoughtful kid when it comes to his cars.
Sure,
how to take care of them.
Sure.
And his long conversation with me about was this car too powerful, I thought was very thoughtful on his part.
Right. What kid says that? Not many.
Well, so I think what we'll do is he's going to take the 911 and we'll just talk to a couple of Porsche Club members. They run in two groups, a fast group and a regular group. And the fast group, it's 40 cars. So the fast group will have about 10 people in them who you just don't want to be around.
Yeah.
I mean, this is their like big moment.
Right.
They're going to go out and drive like crazy, and they forget that they're in killing machines when they get up to speed.
Exactly. I am thankful that when I was growing up, the most powerful car that I owned was a 180 horsepower Trans Am. Because had they had a Hellcat or even a new 911 or any of these things, I would have had one, and I wouldn't be sitting here.
I agree. I had a Bug Eye Sprite.
Right. Yeah.
So I was safe unless anybody hit me, in which case I was dead.
If you see the garbage truck rolling up behind you, you're in deep doo-doo, right?
Exactly.
So I'll be interested to hear the outcome of the event and how it went, and how Bradley's response to it is. We got to get Bradley doing an article in Sports Car Market, right? I think from his perspective, the younger market.
I'm open to that. The real question is getting the writing to the level that the magazine has.
Yeah, true.
Just because he's my son doesn't mean he should get a free 300 words.
Right. Yeah, because you can't tarnish the family name. So
what we finally came down to thinking was that we own the Lotus, and we're going to take it on another trip later this summer. So we've got an opportunity to drive that, but we don't have an opportunity to drive a brand new Porsche 911.
I think that is the best logic I've heard out of this whole conversation.
The other things, and I've gotten over 100 blog comments, and some of them say, I've never had a chance to take my 911 on a tour. And there's a kind of longing there from people that own these cars that have just never set aside the 3 or 4 days to just live with them and use them.
Yeah. And really understand the car. And I don't think people, take that time to do that. And there's so many factors in life that take away time from doing the things that you want to do, because there's things that you have to do or things that you're committed to doing. I mean, the traveling and going to all the events and all that, you've been doing it now for 30, 40 years, right? And I mean, it can be wearing, to say the least.
Well, what you have to do, though, Stewart, is make it an absolute, like my family vacation this summer. We're going to take the Lotus, the Giulia Spider Veloce, and maybe the V12 and drive about 200 miles to Bend.
Oh, nice.
And spend 4 days there, just drive with the whole family in these 4 cars. And we had to make the reservations in advance, get everybody's, you have to work your butt off.
Oh, yeah.
To get all these, but it's really important to me to spend that time with them doing this.
Sure. And I'm sure it's equally as important to them. So it's I think that's a two-way street. So let's tell everybody about how to find Sports Car Market magazine and a special offer that we might want to give them.
We'd like you to subscribe because it's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world. And we've been around almost 40 years. Everybody turns to us. We have authority. The people who analyze the auctions are like, if you took the brightest guys who comment on BAT, they'd all be in the Sports Car Market. Right. You can get a 6-month trial now, 6-month trial for $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com, a test drive 6.
The number 6, not spelled out 6.
Right, just the numbers. But that gives you a chance to get a taste of what other people have been reading for 38 years.
It's an amazing magazine. I couldn't live without it. I read it cover to cover every month and have been for the minute I found out about it. It was one of those aha moments when you find out about something back in the day when things weren't so prevalent.
Right. And thank you for being an advertiser, Stewart. It's great to see your ad every month.
Yeah, we enjoy it. We enjoy picking the car for it and trying to figure out what's the right thing to pick at the right time and what events are going on that week. So we appreciate everything you do, Keith, and we'll look forward to speaking to you next week on the Classic Auto Mall Show.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden.